Hi, welcome back to my channel Christian Faith and Fiction. My name's Lou, and today I'm going to share with you my recent reading vlogs. I've got 4 books to talk about, so let's get on with it. Hi, it's the 3rd of September. I've finished listening to The Warrior, Caleb by Francine Rivers. This is a short book. I think it might be a novella, I'm not sure. It follows the biblical story of Caleb, and it tells the story of the Exodus and the plagues, and all the way through the desert to the conquest, and finally ending up with the beginning of Judges. So it fits in quite a lot of different events told through Francine's version of Caleb. Because it covered quite a lot of scope, it didn't really go into a huge amount of detail of everything. I had mixed views on her kind of version of Caleb. Caleb is one of my favourite biblical characters. He's one of my kind of heroes of the faith, in the way that he waited and was so full of faith still after 40 years of going around in the desert. And whilst full of faith and fighting for God, his character in this book is quite unlikable. He's quite, he just gets irritated with people all the time. He's frustrated all the time. He's sexist. He's abrupt in the way that he talks. Does have some redeeming, characteristics, and the ending was better. But I found it, frustrating a little bit to read, just because in my mind, when I'm reading the Bible, I see him as someone who's very positive and who's full of faith and is inspiring other people to do great works of faith. It's interesting to see that different people can read different things into the characters, because obviously he doesn't have a huge amount said about him in the biblical narrative, just a few bits here and there, so we're all kind of speculating on it. For me, I think it was just too short to encompass so much detail in terms of a novel. But in terms of a biblical study tool, I think it's a very interesting thing. I think to see all of that Bible stories through the eyes of a person through the eyes of a person who's actually there, would be really helpful, and using it as a Bible study aid rather than as a fictional novel, that could be good. But I was going to give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. So that's one of the things off of my TBR bingo challenge. That counts for a book with a man in the biblical fiction book about a man, and a book with a character's name in the title, and possibly one other. Depends on if I can fit in some other books. See you later. And then we took a holiday on the North Devon coast. This was our amazing view out of the caravan window where we were staying, and the veranda, and we were so blessed to have good weather during that time. It's the 1st of October, and yesterday I finished reading Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I really enjoyed reading it again. I really enjoyed getting back into a story that I have loved and read multiple times, I think. Certainly I've watched various adaptations of it. This one, the closest adaptation is the BBC series, and this, I can imagine, it all happening, and the music from it playing in my head as I was reading this one. I really like this edition of it. Obviously it's really, really pretty, but it's just so nice to read. I've said this multiple times, but so nice to read a normal size text. Makes it feel like reading a large print almost, compared to what classics usually are. And I'm classing this as Christian fiction just because I think Jane Austen was a Christian. She certainly mentions different clergymen in her books, and I think one of her family was a clergyman, I'm not sure. But yeah, recommend reading this in this version. That was really good, and I look forward to continuing with her other ones. I've got one other one, Persuasion, and then Emma's coming out next year. So yeah, that was really good. I'll probably give it 5 out of 5 again. So yeah. It's the 8th of October, and this week I finished The Fairest Beauty by Melanie Dickerson. This is a medieval romance retelling of Snow White. This follows a character called Gabe, who is a duke's son, and his brother was betrothed to a girl named Sophie, who they thought had died, but then an old woman turns up at the castle saying that she is still alive. Gabe's brother is injured with a broken leg, and so he can't go. So Gabe sneaks out and goes to rescue Sophie. Meanwhile, Sophie is in the castle with an evil duchess who has been keeping her there as a servant and hasn't told her who she really is. But Sophie has to try and keep on her good side all the time because she is really insanely jealous of her. The Duchess is insanely jealous of Sophie, and so she always wants to look for reasons to punish her or put her in a dungeon. And when Gabe arrives there, they have to try and find a way to escape. So, and this kind of follows their escape route. I enjoyed this book. I gave it 4.25 out of 5 stars. I felt like the beginning was a little bit slow for me. Always with Melanie Dickerson books, I have to adjust my expectations a little bit because it's written for teens. I would say probably younger teens in a sense. It's quite, the style is a little simplistic, and particularly at the beginning of the book, when it's mostly just about the two of them. You don't get huge amounts about the wider world going on, and it's not like a, I keep thinking it should be like a fantasy with a lot of politics and world building and things, but it is a historical romance with action and drama added in. That being said, it did pick up quite a bit for me as the book went on. More characters were introduced, and I found that much more to my liking and much more interesting. There was quite a lot of drama in it. There was a sweet romance as part of it. It does follow the storyline of Snow White, but there are some twists that she puts in there. It's a non-magical story, so it is a historical fiction. I enjoyed all the characters, the different quirky characters that popped up, and I liked how the Christian elements are brought into it and how the characters do consider their faith when it comes to the decisions that they're making, and they do prayerfully consider them. I'm interested to see what will happen with one of the other brothers that shows up in this story. I think the next story is about his story. But yeah, it was a fun read with a bit of drama added in. So yeah.
And finally, the last book I want to talk about is a book that I've finished last. That is Influential by Jo Saxton. She is a black female preacher in the UK. And her book is about women in leadership in the church, in the world, and in the home, and all sorts of other places. So it's about being influential as a woman, and I found it really encouraging. I found her use of stories from the Bible really great, especially looking at Eve again, and looking at our initial purpose in God's design before the fall, before everything kind of went a bit pear-shaped. So I found that really helpful. I think she's a great speaker and somebody that I would like to learn from, to be more positive about being a female and being influential. Maybe not necessarily with the title of leader, but who knows. But certainly online and in friendships and in family and in life and in church, I want to be a better influence for other people, and particularly for younger women who are coming through now. I'm into the middle-aged category now. believe it or not. I have reached there, so I would really love to be a better role model and to be more confident in being in my leadership skills. And I would give this book a 4 out of 5 stars, I think. There was definitely stuff in there that I appreciated and found encouraging. So it was good. So those were the books that I've read recently. Let me know in the comments any good books that you've read and any that you would recommend, especially if you've got any non-fiction Christian recommendations. And until next time, I hope you have a good reading week, and I'll see you again. Bye!